everyone and welcome. In this video, I'm going to be predicting a 2024 presidential matchup scenario between Governor of Florida Ron DeSantis and President Joe Biden. This scenario would play out if DeSantis were to beat Trump in a primary and if Biden were to run for re-election. So let's begin. Let's start off with the likely states for Biden and DeSantis. I think Biden would win Colorado and New Mexico all by a pretty much likely margin, by around 7 to 8 percentage points. Even though 2020 might be a red wave year, I still think both Colorado and New Mexico are a bit out of reach for the GOP. I think DeSantis would win Ohio, Iowa, and Florida, all three by a likely margin as well. So let's characterize those states by a likely margin. And potentially even safe as well. So basically, all three states are pretty much out of reach for Democrats and have trended heavily Republican ever since 2016. Florida is also DeSantis' home state, and they would vote for him heavily, knowing that he won re-election by a pretty much safe margin of double digits. And now moving on to the lean states. I have Ron DeSantis winning Texas and North Carolina by lean margins. So basically, Texas is currently slightly shifting blue due to illegal immigrants coming in from the southern border and voting blue, which would help Biden and other Democrats in the future with the state, but still won't be enough. I think the day the Dems would flip Texas is the day the GOP would be done for. But I don't think that that's the case in 2024. Now, as far as North Carolina, I think Ron DeSantis would do better than Trump, perform better than Trump in this state, in North Carolina, and he would beat Biden by around 2 to 3 percentage points, which would be a lean margin. Now, before we move on to the tilt states, I also think Joe Biden would win Minnesota, Michigan, Virginia, and New Hampshire, all by lean margins. I definitely think DeSantis would steal some voters that did not vote for Trump in 2020 in Minnesota that would vote for DeSantis in 2024, which would make it closer than how much Biden had won it in 2020. I still do think that Minnesota will continue to vote blue for now, and Biden would win it by around 4 to 5%. And same goes for Michigan. I still think Democrats winning Michigan in 2024. And Trump got lucky in 2016, to be honest, because he faced a weak opponent in Hillary Clinton. If he had faced someone other than Hillary Clinton, I think it definitely could have gone blue. I do still think that DeSantis would do better than Trump in this state, but won't be enough to flip it. Knowing that Gretchen Whitmer had just recently won it in the 2022 midterms by a large margin could tell you that it probably won't be red in 2024. Now, one more lean state for Biden would be Virginia. Even though he had won it in 2020 by around 10%, which is a lot, you would think, the state tends to very shift. Like, it's known for shifting a lot. It doesn't really stay to one side. I think a lot of those voters who voted for Biden in the state of Virginia back in 2020 would swing in DeSantis' favor, which would make it highly more competitive. Also, the Republican Glenn Youngkin just flipped the state by 12% shift in favor of the GOP in 2021. So I think Biden would win by around 5%, which would be way closer than in 2020. Virginia in 2024 would look like basically Virginia in 2016 rather than 2020. I think Virginia would look like a 2016 Virginia in 2024. So now lastly, we have the tilt states. Basically the tilt states that would go to either candidate by margin of less than 2%, which would be considered the closest states of them all. Ron DeSantis would win Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, and Wisconsin, all within just 2%. Those states, I think, would just barely go to him with the slimmest of margins. All of those states I just named also could go to Biden as well, which is why they are only just tilt for DeSantis. So Nevada has been trending red as we all know it, mainly because of those Republicans fleeing from California, moving to Nevada, which is causing a red shift in the state. The only votes for Democrats in Nevada would be the Vegas area. Anywhere else other than the Vegas area would go red. I also do think Ron DeSantis would be better than Trump in Arizona, considering Arizona loves the John McCain-style voters. The Arizona Republican Party doesn't favor Trump that much. I can definitely see DeSantis pulling more independents than Trump which would cause a victory of about 1 to 2% percentage points for DeSantis. The main reason why Biden even won Arizona in 2020 by 0.2%, keep in mind he only won by 0.2%, is because he edged Trump out with the independent voters. When it comes to the state of Arizona, if you don't know, independent voters matter a lot, which I can see DeSantis not struggle with as much as Trump did in the state. I think DeSantis would outperform Trump in Georgia as well because it is similar to Florida in a way because they kind of border each other. The two states border each other. And Ron DeSantis would do better among the Brian Kemp lovers, which would make DeSantis win by a margin of around 2 to 3%. I would consider it lean. Arguably, you can put it as tilt, or I would consider tilt. You can arguably consider 2 to 3% as lean. It kind of depends. And also, I can see Wisconsin vote for DeSantis as well. I still can see Biden winning it because of what we saw happen to Ron Johnson's margin of victory. He even though he won, Ron Johnson still kind of underperformed. And now the last and final state would be Pennsylvania. I have Biden narrowly defeating DeSantis in Pennsylvania, but I for sure can see both Trump and DeSantis win it. I mainly am giving the edge to Biden, though, is because in the 2022 midterms, Pennsylvania rejected Republicans in which what should have been a red wave year. That now that wouldn't be. That's obviously not a good look for Republicans in the state of Pennsylvania. And that's pretty much it. 278 for DeSantis, 260 for Biden. Biden will obviously keep this competitive if he does run. If this were to be this scenario, Ron DeSantis versus Joe Biden, I think both candidates will be competitive. I think it'll be close. Obviously, Biden getting 260, meaning he did not get blown out, obviously. I think it's going to be a close election. And DeSantis getting 278, which means he barely wins. He gets 8 electoral votes over 270. And that is pretty much it. Now, this is if Biden runs. Obviously, he may not run. And this is if DeSantis beats Trump, which obviously is not a guarantee and probably actually might not happen. So we'll see. Republican primaries will be very interesting to watch. I probably will make updates when we have the primaries coming around this summer. And DeSantis is expected to announce a run by May, I believe. And if he does announce a run, stay tuned for my Ron DeSantis versus Joe Biden election night. Thanks for watching.